Hi dear. Welcome to your favorite audiobook channel Wisdom Flicks. How to persuade anyone instantly audiobook that changes minds. What if you could learn a simple, science-backed approach to instantly capture anyone's attention, dissolve objections effortlessly, and inspire genuine yes responses without sounding pushy or rehearsed? This book doesn't just teach persuasion. It transforms how you connect with others at a deep, human level. Ready to change minds and your life? Turn the page and discover the art of instant influence. Introduction. The art of instant influence. What if I told you that within just a few seconds of meeting someone, you could win their trust, shape their perception, and guide their decisions, all without manipulation, force, or gimmicks? That's the power of instant influence. Influence is not reserved for politicians, CEOs, or charismatic salespeople. It's a universal human skill, and whether we realize it or not, we are using it every single day. Every conversation, every interaction, every moment where another person's opinion, choice, or emotion is involved, persuasion is happening. The only question is, are you doing it intentionally? This audiobook is your guide to learning how to persuade ethically, instantly, and effectively, not over weeks or months, but within the very first moments you connect with someone. Why influence matters. Influence isn't just about getting people to say yes. It's about creating meaningful alignment between your message and their internal motivation. When you know how to connect with people genuinely and persuasively, you gain the ability to open doors, resolve conflict, inspire change, and build lasting trust. Think about it. Every job interview you've ever attended, every sale you've ever made or lost, every friendship, every debate, every relationship. Influence was at the center of it. And in today's fast-paced, attention-deficient world, you don't have the luxury of waiting hours or days to build rapport. You have moments. People make snap judgments. First impressions are formed in seconds. That's why the skill of instant persuasion is no longer optional. It's essential that if you can't capture attention, build trust, and guide emotions within the first few moments, you've already lost your chance. This audiobook will show you how to win that moment. The myth of time. You may have heard that persuasion takes time, that trust is earned slowly, that people need to get to know you before they'll follow your lead. While that may be true in some cases, in most everyday interactions, you simply don't have that time. Think about a job interview, a phone call, a pitch meeting, a date, a 2-minute conversation in a noisy room. You don't get hours to build influence. You get seconds. That's why this book doesn't focus on long-term strategy alone. It focuses on how to trigger trust, connection, and influence instantly. Because if you can do that, everything else becomes easier. What is instant influence? Instant influence is not about manipulation or deception. It's not about forcing someone to do something against their will. It's about creating a moment of alignment, a space where your words, your presence, and your intention match what the other person needs, feels, or wants to believe. That it's about triggering trust through subtle signals, speaking in ways that bypass resistance, showing up with the energy, clarity, and purpose that naturally invites people to lean in, not pull away. Influence happens when someone feels that you understand them, that you see them, that your words resonate with something deeper inside them. And you don't need hours to create that moment. You just need the right tools, the right awareness, the right strategy, the science behind it. The truth is, our brains are hardwired to respond to certain psychological patterns. Emotional triggers like trust, safety, urgency, belonging, authority, and reciprocity have been shaping human decisions for thousands of years, from the caveman convincing his tribe to move to higher ground, to the modern entrepreneur pitching an idea to a skeptical investor. These triggers remain the same. When you learn to recognize and use them ethically, you gain a superpower, the ability to influence without pressure. That you'll discover that the right story, the right tone of voice, even the right posture can unlock closed minds. That it's not guesswork, it's psychology. And in this audiobook, you'll learn how to apply it practically in everyday situations. What you will learn. This audiobook is divided into chapters that walk you through the step-by-step mechanics of instant persuasion. You will learn why people say yes and what triggers agreement, how to use your body language to build instant trust, what words and phrases create emotional connection fast, how to reframe objections without sounding pushy, how to shift someone's mindset in seconds, without arguing, how to persuade in real-world scenarios like interviews, sales, relationships, and conflict resolution, and how to do it all in a way that feels natural, honest, and respectful, whether you are a leader, a student, a business professional, or someone simply looking to improve their communication skills. This audiobook is your practical guide to becoming instantly persuasive. And the best part? These techniques work regardless of your personality type. You don't have to be loud. You don't have to be charming. You don't need to memorize sales tricks or fake confidence. You just need to understand how human minds work and how to communicate in a way that makes people feel understood, respected, and open to your message. A real story of instant influence. Let me tell you a quick story. There was a young entrepreneur, quiet, introverted, and soft-spoken. He was pitching his startup idea to a group of investors who had heard a dozen other pitches that day. Instead of trying to impress them with numbers or buzzwords, he told a personal story. It was emotional, real, honest. He spoke calmly but with conviction. Within the first minute, the energy in the room shifted. The investors leaned in. They felt something that he hadn't even gotten to the product yet, but the connection was made. By the end of the pitch, they were sold. Not because he had the flashiest presentation, but because he created an emotional bridge first, and the influence followed naturally. This is the power of instant persuasion. And by the end of this audiobook, you'll know how to create that moment for yourself. Who this audiobook is for? This book is for anyone who wants to become more persuasive, not by learning manipulation, but by mastering connection. If you are in sales, marketing, leadership, coaching, teaching, or public speaking, this book is for you. If you're navigating relationships, trying to influence decisions at home or work, or simply want to be more impactful in how you communicate, this book is for you. Even if you've struggled with influence before, even if you're shy, even if you're not sure people listen when you speak, that's okay. You don't need to change who you are. You simply need to unlock what's already inside you. That's what this audiobook is here to help you do. A final thought before we begin: you are more persuasive than you think. That you've already influenced others, perhaps without even realizing it. A word of encouragement here, a powerful story there, a calm presence during a storm. Now it's time to take that potential and make it powerful, consistent, and intentional. By the time you finish this audiobook, you will walk differently, talk differently, lead differently. You will understand people more deeply. You'll read between their words, and you'll speak in a way that reaches not just their ears, but their emotions, beliefs, and decisions. This isn't just a book about how to persuade others. It's a journey toward becoming the most impactful version of yourself. Let's begin. Chapter 2. The Psychology of Yes. What makes people agree? Behind every yes lies a reason. It may be logical, it may be emotional, but it is never random. People agree because something inside them aligns with the message they're hearing. It might be a feeling of trust, a sense of urgency, the comfort of familiarity, or the simple satisfaction of being understood. In this chapter, we're going to uncover the psychological foundations that shape human decisions, the invisible levers that, when pulled gently and ethically, lead to instant agreement. Understanding why people say yes is the first step in mastering the art of persuasion. Let's begin by answering a simple, yet powerful question. Why do people agree in the first place? 1. The core human drives to understand persuasion. You must first understand people. At the root of every decision lie a handful of core emotional drivers that guide human behavior, consciously or unconsciously. These include the desire for safety. Humans are wired to move toward what feels safe and away from what feels risky. If your message offers comfort, protection, or certainty, people are more likely to lean in. The need to belong. We are social creatures. From early tribes to modern teams, belonging has always been crucial. If your message makes someone feel part of something bigger, they are more open to persuasion. The drive for gain. People are motivated by reward, whether financial, emotional, or social. If your message promises a benefit or improvement in their life, they'll pay attention. The pain of loss. Interestingly, people are more driven to avoid loss than to seek gain. Highlighting what someone might lose by not taking action can be more persuasive than simply offering benefits. The urge to be understood. When people feel truly heard and seen, their defenses drop. connection builds. And with connection comes influence. These drivers aren't just theoretical. They are hardwired into the brain. And once you begin speaking to them directly, people begin to say yes, more naturally. Point 2. The principle of reciprocity. Think about the last time someone did something nice for you, unexpectedly. Maybe they paid you a compliment, held the door open, gave you help without being asked. Chances are, you felt something subtle inside. The urge to return the favor. That's reciprocity in action. It's one of the most powerful principles in persuasion. When you offer something, first, value, kindness, insight, people feel emotionally inclined to give back. That could mean listening more closely, saying yes, buying from you, supporting your idea. This principle is so deeply rooted in our psychology that it works even when the favor is small. The key is genuine intent. Manipulation breaks reciprocity. Authenticity strengthens it. If you want to influence people, ask yourself, what can I offer first? Give before you ask. Serve before you sell. Share before you persuade. It's not a trick. It's trust building. Point 3. Social proof. People follow people. People rarely make decisions in isolation. They look to others, especially when uncertain. When we see others doing something, liking something, or approving of something, we instinctively feel more comfortable doing the same. This is known as social proof. It's why we check reviews before buying. It's why we glance around in meetings before voicing an opinion. It's why laughter in a room makes something feel funnier. If others believe it's good, we begin to believe it too. When persuading, social proof can be a silent ally. Testimonials, examples, or even subtle references to others who agree can make your message more trustworthy and relatable. The message becomes, you're not the only one who thinks this is right. And that's powerful. Point 4. The authority effect. People are more likely to agree with someone they perceive as knowledgeable, experienced, or credible. This is known as the authority effect. But here's the catch. Authority doesn't mean arrogance. It doesn't mean domination. True authority comes from clarity, confidence, and calm control. When you speak with quiet conviction, when your body language is grounded, when your knowledge is real and your intent is pure, people sense your authority. They listen more closely. They assume you know what you're talking about. And they're more likely to say yes, because you sound like someone worth following. If you want to boost your persuasive power, don't fake confidence. Build it, learn, practice. Then speak from a place of inner authority. Point 5. The consistency principle. People like to appear consistent in their beliefs and actions. Once they commit to something small, they are more likely to follow through with something bigger. To remain consistent with their self-image. This is why great persuaders ask small, easy questions first. If you can get someone to say yes to a small idea or belief, you're paving the way for larger agreement later. For example, if someone says, yes, I care about my health, then asking, would you be open to trying this healthier routine, becomes easier to accept. They don't want to contradict their earlier statement, so they agree. This principle is subtle but effective, especially when used with care. Point 6. Liking and connection. It's simple. We are more likely to say yes to people we like. And what makes us like someone? Shared values, genuine compliments, warmth, respect, similar backgrounds, a sense of humor, empathy. Influence doesn't begin with logic. It begins with likability. The fastest way to become more persuasive is not to become more clever. It's to become more connected. Ask questions. Listen. Relate. When someone feels that you genuinely care, they are far more willing to listen to what you say. Point 7. Scarcity and urgency. People value what is rare. When something is in limited supply or time is running out, our brains perceive it as more important. This is known as the scarcity principle, but it must be used carefully. Too much urgency feels like pressure. Too little urgency leads to inaction. If you want someone to take action quickly, explain why now is the moment. What opportunity might they miss if they wait? What advantage exists only for a limited time? The key here is honesty. False urgency destroys trust. Real urgency drives decisions. Use this principle to motivate, not manipulate. Point 8. Emotional anchoring. People don't say yes because of facts. They say yes because of feelings. Emotion is the true currency of persuasion. If your message stirs emotion, hope, curiosity, relief, inspiration, then logic will follow. But if your message is emotionally flat, it rarely moves people to action. This is why stories are so persuasive. Stories carry emotion. They bypass the analytical brain and go straight to the heart. Before you try to convince someone of what to do, help them feel something first. Then, the yes becomes effortless. The magic of mirror neurons. One final insight. Science shows that our brains contain something called mirror neurons. These fire when we see someone else experiencing an emotion. It's how empathy works. It's why we tear up when watching someone cry, even if we don't know them. When you speak with emotion, authenticity, and presence, the listener's brain literally mirrors your energy. You don't have to shout. You don't have to sell. You just have to feel it first, because emotion, when real, is contagious, bringing it all together. So, what makes people agree? Feeling safe, feeling seen, believing in the benefit, fearing the loss, trusting the source, feeling connected, sensing urgency, experiencing emotion. These aren't tricks. These are human truths. And the better you understand them, the more naturally you'll be able to influence without force, lead without pushing, and persuade without pressure. From now on, persuasion won't feel like convincing someone. It will feel like aligning with them. You won't just change people's minds. You'll help them discover what they already believe, but hadn't realized yet. This is the psychology of yes. Now, let's move forward and explore how to create that yes in the first 10 seconds of any conversation. Are you ready? Chapter 3. The first 10 seconds. How to capture trust instantly. The moment you walk into a room, speak on a call, or begin a conversation, those first few seconds set everything in motion. In fact, by the time you finish saying your first sentence, most people have already made up their minds about you. This might sound dramatic, but it's backed by psychology and behavioral science. First impressions are powerful and often permanent. In this chapter, we'll break down how to win trust and attention in the first 10 seconds of any interaction. Not by faking confidence, not by using manipulation, but by understanding how humans respond to presence, energy, and authenticity. Because when you know how to capture trust instantly, the rest of the conversation becomes effortless. Let's begin. The power of first impressions. We make snap judgments all the time. It's part of how our brains operate. We scan for, is this person safe or dangerous? Are they confident or uncertain? Can I trust them or should I stay guarded? All of this happens automatically, within moments. That's called thin slicing, a term used in psychology to describe how people form opinions based on very limited information. And once formed, these impressions are hard to reverse. That's why the first 10 seconds matter so much. They set the tone. They build or break trust. And they tell people whether they should lean in or tune out. So, how do we master these first seconds? By focusing on 3 crucial elements: presence, nonverbal cues, and emotional energy. Point 1. Presence. Show up before you speak. Your presence is felt before a single word is said. It's the way you enter a room, the way you carry yourself, the subtle confidence in your posture, your eyes, your breathing. When you enter a space, physical or virtual, people read your energy. Are you grounded? Are you distracted? Are you tense or relaxed? The human brain is wired to detect emotional states instantly. We call this emotional contagion. Your energy affects others, even silently. To build trust instantly, you must own your presence. Here's how. Stand or sit tall with relaxed shoulders. This signals confidence without aggression. Make eye contact, but not a stare. Look with warmth, not dominance. Take a calm breath before speaking. It slows your rhythm and centers your mind. Smile, genuinely. A real smile is disarming. It makes people feel safe. Pause briefly before beginning. Silence, when used right, signals control. People trust those who are calm, focused, and emotionally stable. If you appear scattered, unsure, or overly intense, they hesitate. Even if your words are perfect, your energy speaks louder than your voice. Point 2. Nonverbal cues. Your body is the message. The majority of communication is nonverbal. In fact, studies suggest that up to 70% of first impressions are based on body language, facial expressions, and tone, not on the actual words spoken. So, what nonverbal cues build trust? Open body language. Keep your hands visible. Avoid crossing your arms. An open posture shows confidence and approachability. Relaxed movements, sudden, jerky movements signal nervousness. Slow, deliberate gestures show control. Consistent eye contact, looking someone in the eyes, intermittently, creates connection. Avoiding eye contact creates suspicion. Overdoing it creates tension. A steady voice tone, a shaky voice, says, I'm uncertain. A calm, rich tone says, I'm in control. Nodding gently, subtle nods while someone speaks encourages them and shows attentiveness. These small signals add up. They help the listener decide, almost instantly, whether they feel safe in your presence. And safety is the foundation of trust. Point 3. Emotional energy. Speak from a centered state. People are not persuaded by facts alone. They're persuaded by how you make them feel. That if you want someone to trust you quickly, you must project an emotional state that is calm, clear, and sincere. Think of the people you naturally trust. They usually speak with warmth, clarity, and certainty, but without pressure. To project this emotional energy. Slow down. Don't rush your words. Speed suggests nervousness. A relaxed pace projects confidence. Use purposeful pauses. Let your words land. Silence is a sign of strength. Add vocal warmth. Speak as if you're talking to a close friend, not a stranger. Speak with intention. Don't ramble. Choose your words carefully. Clarity breeds trust. Remember, people don't just hear what you say, they feel your intention behind it. If your energy says, I respect you, I'm here to help, I know what I'm saying, they'll trust you, even before they fully understand. Your message, the trust equation. Let's simplify everything into one formula you can remember. Trust equals presence plus warmth plus confidence. Presence means you are here, now. Focused. Calm. Warmth means you care. You're not a threat. You're approachable. Confidence means you believe in what you're saying. Without apology. If you can combine those three traits in the first 10 seconds, you will own the room, not through dominance, but through connection. A real example. The job interview test. Picture two candidates walking into a job interview. Candidate A walks in briskly, avoids eye contact, gives a tight-lipped smile, and immediately starts explaining how qualified they are. Candidate B walks in slowly, makes warm eye contact, smiles with ease, takes a moment before speaking, and says, Thank you for having me. I've been really looking forward to this. Same qualifications, same resume. But who do you trust more? Who do you want to listen to? Candidate B hasn't even started their pitch, but they've already won trust. That's the power of mastering the first 10 seconds, the science behind its studies. In neuroscience show that the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, is activated in less than 1/10 of a second after seeing a new face. This part of the brain helps people decide quickly, friend or foe, safe or dangerous, confident or uncertain. When your body language and tone project calm authority, the amygdala relaxes. The brain sends a signal that says, this person is safe. I can listen to them. Trust begins not with facts, but with neurochemical signals of safety and connection. That you're not just influencing people's thoughts, you're influencing their nervous system. What not to do in the first 10 seconds. Let's quickly highlight common mistakes that destroy trust before you've even begun. Speaking too quickly due to nerves, avoiding eye contact, or looking down. Forcing confidence with exaggerated gestures, starting with a joke that doesn't land, overloading with facts too early, interrupting or rushing into the message. These actions trigger suspicion or discomfort. They send the wrong message before your actual message has even begun. In persuasion, perception is everything. Practice makes permanent. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be aware. Practice entering rooms with intention. Practice saying your first line with calm clarity. Practice pausing, smiling, and breathing. The more you train your body and voice to speak from a confident, grounded state, the more naturally trust will follow. In summary, the first 10 seconds of any interaction are not just an introduction. They are the foundation. In those few moments, people decide, do I trust you? Do I like you? Will I listen to you? And these decisions often stick. The next time you walk into a room, make a call, or start a conversation, remember, lead with presence. Project warmth and confidence. Let your body language speak before your words, because when people feel safe, seen, and respected, their minds open. And that's when persuasion truly begins. Now, in the next chapter, we'll explore the language of influence, the specific words, phrases, and story techniques that make your message not only heard, but remembered. Let's continue. Chapter 4. The language of influence. Words that win minds. Words are powerful. They can start wars or end them, inspire nations or break hearts. They can lift someone up, plant a seed of change, or reshape a belief in an instant. But not all words are created equal. In the hands of someone who understands how language works, words become tools of influence, not manipulation, but transformation. In this chapter, you'll discover how to use language deliberately. You'll learn which words to choose, which to avoid, and how to frame your message so that people not only listen, but remember and act. Because influence isn't just about speaking. It's about speaking in a way that moves people. Why words matter? Every word you say carries meaning beyond its definition. It carries tone, intention, energy, and emotional weight. The same message can land completely differently depending on how you say it. For example, "You should try this" versus "You might really enjoy this." One feels like pressure. The other feels like a suggestion. One creates resistance. The other opens the door. Your ability to persuade instantly often depends not on what you're saying, but how you're framing it. Let's explore how to use the right language at the right time. Point 1. The power of suggestion over instruction. Influential people understand this core principle. Suggest, don't command. People don't like being told what to do. They like feeling in control. The moment your language feels forceful, their defense mechanisms rise to SO. Instead of saying, "You need to," "You have to try." What if you considered, "One thing that's worked well is, I invite you to think about." This doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. It keeps the listener's sense of autonomy intact. When people feel like the idea is theirs, even partially, they embrace it more fully. Point 2. Use emotionally charged words. People don't take action because of logic alone. They take action because they feel something. This is why emotionally charged words are so powerful. They bypass the rational mind and speak directly to what people care about: their fears, dreams, hopes, and needs. Here's the difference. Our product increases efficiency by 25% versus our product frees you from stress, saves your time, and gives you back control of your day. One is a statistic. The other is a feeling. Use words that connect emotionally. Imagine, discover, struggle, freedom, safe, powerful, relief, unstoppable, trusted, proven, effortless, game changer. These aren't buzzwords. They're emotional anchors. When you speak in a way that makes people feel something, they're far more likely to listen and to say yes. Point 3. Paint with stories, not just statements. Facts tell. Stories sell. The human brain is wired to love stories. Why? Because stories create emotional involvement. They allow listeners to imagine, relate, and see themselves inside the message. Instead of saying, "Confidence is important in persuasion," say, "I once knew a quiet man who could walk into any room and get people on his side without raising his voice. What made him magnetic wasn't what he said, but how he said it." That's the power of quiet confidence. The difference: a story puts the listener into the scene. It engages the senses. It creates emotional memory. Use stories to make your point more relatable, humanize data or ideas, increase memorability, trigger empathy, and trust. A well-told, relevant story can influence more than a dozen statistics. Point 4. Mirror the listener's language. Want to build instant rapport? Use the language your listener already uses. This is called linguistic mirroring, and it works because people feel more connected to those who sound like them. It creates familiarity. If they say, "I'm struggling to stay focused," don't respond with, "You need a productivity system." Instead say, "Let's explore a few ways to help you stay focused without burning out." You're using their words, their emotional language. This signals that you understand them, that you're on their side. And when people feel understood, they lower their defenses. Point 5. Frame the outcome, not just the process. People don't buy products. They buy results. They don't buy coaching. They buy transformation. They don't buy words. They buy what those words promise. If you want to persuade, don't just explain what you're offering. Paint the picture of the result. Instead of saying, "This method will improve your communication," say, "This method helps you speak with such clarity and impact that people stop, listen, and remember your words." Always lead with what it will do for them. People are tuned into one station, WAFM. What's in it for me? Answer that question clearly and emotionally, and persuasion becomes easier. Point 6. Use positive framing. Words shape perception. Would you rather hear, "This is a low-risk opportunity," or "There's almost no chance you'll lose everything"? Both may mean the same, but the emotional reaction is different. Use language that emphasizes positive outcomes. You'll feel more confident instead of "you won't be insecure." You'll gain more time instead of "you won't waste time." It's simple and easy instead of "it's not hard." Your message becomes more persuasive when it's hopeful and forward-looking. People want to move toward pleasure, not just away from pain. Point 7. Anchor your ideas with certainty. Confidence is contagious. When you speak with certainty, your words carry weight. When you sound unsure, even the best message gets lost. Avoid weak language like, "I think," "maybe you could," "it might help." Instead, say, "Here's what works best." This approach consistently delivers results. I recommend this for one powerful reason. You're not being pushy, you're being clear. Of course, if you're unsure about something, honesty matters. But when you do believe in your message, speak with conviction. The more certain you are, the easier it is for others to trust you. Point 8. Ask questions that guide thought. Questions are one of the most underused tools in persuasion. When you make a statement, people can resist. But when you ask the right question, you lead their mind without resistance. For example, what would it feel like to finally have clarity? How would it change your day if this problem disappeared? What's the one thing stopping you from taking the next step? These questions create reflection. They shift focus inward, and they make your listener feel engaged rather than lectured. When people find the answer themselves, it becomes more powerful than if you gave it to them. Putting it all together, the language of influence is not about being clever. It's about being intentional. You now have the tools to frame your message around emotional outcomes. Use stories that connect. Choose words that trigger emotion. Ask questions that inspire thought. Speak with clarity and warmth. Mirror the language of the listener. Remove pressure and invite curiosity. When you master your language, you don't have to push to persuade. Your words pull people in because they feel understood, respected, and inspired. That's the true art of persuasive speech. In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into emotional triggers, the hidden switches inside every mind that, once activated, can lead to instant agreement. Let's continue. Chapter 5. Emotional triggers. Tapping into hidden desires. If you want to persuade anyone instantly, you must understand one universal truth. People make decisions emotionally and justify them logically. It doesn't matter how intelligent, rational, or experienced someone is. At the core of every decision lies emotion. Whether it's choosing a product, supporting an idea, joining a cause, or trusting a stranger, emotions come first. In this chapter, we'll explore how to identify and activate the emotional triggers that move people to act. These are the invisible levers that, when gently pulled, unlock desire, trust, and agreement. This isn't about manipulation. It's about connection, understanding what truly matters to people beneath the surface. Let's begin. What are emotional triggers? Emotional triggers are powerful, automatic responses wired into the human brain. They are the internal motivations that drive behavior, shape preferences, and influence decisions, often without people realizing it. When a message activates the right emotional trigger, it becomes more than just information. It becomes personal, relevant, urgent, memorable, and that's when real persuasion happens. So, what are these emotional triggers, and how can you use them ethically? Let's explore the most powerful ones. Point 1. The desire for belonging. Human beings are tribal by nature. We want to feel included, accepted, and part of something bigger than ourselves. People often say yes, not because they need something, but because they don't want to feel left out. This is why phrases like, "join thousands of others who've already," "be part of a growing movement," "people just like you are seeing results," are so powerful. They create a sense of community and shared experience. When people feel like others are doing it too, and that they'll be welcomed, they're more likely to follow. To activate this trigger, highlight shared values. Social proof. Testimonials. Collective identity. Let your audience feel like they belong before they even begin. Point 2. The need for certainty and safety. At our core, we seek security. We want to feel safe in our choices, environments, and relationships. Uncertainty makes people hesitate. Confidence makes them commit. That's why persuasive messages often include risk-free guarantee, backed by science, proven. Over time, you're fully protected. These phrases calm the brain's fear centers and offer emotional relief. When persuading, address hidden fears, even the ones people won't admit. Show that the path you're offering is stable, tested, and safe, that if people feel secure with you, they'll move forward with you. Point 3. The craving for significance. Every person, whether they show it or not, wants to feel important, to feel that they matter, to be recognized, valued, and seen. This emotional trigger is one of the most powerful in persuasion. When you speak to someone's identity, you connect on a deeper level. Phrases like, "You're exactly the type of person who can. Leaders like you understand. You've worked too hard to settle for less." Help the listener feel elevated. They reinforce a positive self-image. And when people see themselves as capable, worthy, or exceptional, they act in ways that align with that image. To trigger significance. Personalize your message. Acknowledge effort or character. Reflect their values back to them. Let people feel seen, and they'll see you differently. 2.4. The urge for growth and achievement. We all want to improve, to become better, smarter, healthier, more successful. Progress is addictive. It gives people hope, purpose, momentum. That's why persuasive messages often focus on unlock your full potential. The next level starts here. Grow faster with less effort. To activate this trigger, show people how your idea helps them evolve, learn, achieve a goal, overcome a limitation, move closer to their ideal future. When people see progress, they feel empowered. And empowered people say yes more often. Point 5. The pain of loss or missing out. People are twice as motivated to avoid loss than to gain pleasure. This is known as loss aversion. Fear of missing out, often called FOMO, is a real emotional driver. When someone believes they might lose an opportunity, miss a benefit, fall behind others, waste time or money, they are more likely to take immediate action. But use this trigger ethically. Instead of threatening fear, highlight limited time opportunities or what's at stake if they delay. Examples: enrollment closes tonight, only 3 spots left. What would it cost you to wait another year? Urgency motivates. Scarcity persuades. But always anchor them in truth and transparency. Point 6. The desire for control and freedom. No one wants to feel trapped or forced. Point 1. Of the most powerful emotional triggers is autonomy. The belief that I'm in control of my life. To tap into this, give people choices. Invite rather than instruct. Use language like, "You have the option to," "It's completely up to you," "Here's how you can take charge." These phrases reduce resistance because they reinforce freedom of choice. People are far more likely to say yes when they feel that they are deciding, not being pushed. Point 7. The pull of curiosity and mystery. Curiosity is what keeps people leaning forward. It's why we open emails, watch trailers, or listen to the end of a story. The brain craves closure. So when you present an open loop, people feel compelled to close it. Use curiosity triggers like, "Most people overlook this simple trick. Here's what nobody tells you about. You'll be surprised by what happened next." These are not clickbait. When used genuinely, they create intrigue and pull attention toward your message. If you can make someone curious, you've already won half the battle. Point 8. The longing for connection and love. At the heart of every person lies the desire to be loved, to connect, to feel emotionally safe and valued. Whether it's a product, a cause, or a person, if the experience promises connection, people are drawn in. This trigger is why so many brands succeed by selling not just products, but lifestyle, emotion, and community. To activate this, use warm, empathetic language. Highlight relationships, shared experiences, or family. Speak to the heart, not just the mind. If your message makes people feel less alone, they will follow you without hesitation. How to use these triggers ethically. Emotional triggers are powerful, but with power comes responsibility. When used with care, these triggers build trust, connection, and lasting impact. But when used to exploit fear or insecurity, they lead to manipulation and eventually rejection. Always ask yourself, is this message honest? Will this help the other person grow or feel good about themselves? Am I using emotion to connect, not control? The most influential people don't just move minds, they honor hearts. And that's the kind of influence that lasts. Putting it all together, let's recap. People say yes not because of logic alone, but because something inside them feels Safe, seen, empowered, understood, curious, inspired, protected, connected. Those are emotional triggers at work that if you want to persuade instantly, don't just speak to the mind. Speak to the emotion behind the decision. Don't just give information. Offer transformation. Don't just make a point. Make a feeling. When your message taps into hidden desires, you don't have to push. People come toward you because what you're offering resonates deeply. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to turn all of this into practical, real-life strategy. We'll walk through real-world persuasion scenarios, from interviews and meetings to personal relationships, so you can see these principles in action. Let's move forward. Chapter 6. The Persuasion Blueprint, a step-by-step framework for instant influence. Imagine you had a map, a clear, reliable guide that showed you exactly how to move someone from uncertainty to agreement. What if persuasion didn't feel like guesswork, pressure, or performance, but instead felt like a natural flow of trust, understanding, and alignment? That's what this chapter is about. Welcome to the Persuasion Blueprint, a proven, step-by-step framework that brings together psychology, emotional triggers, and strategic communication into one repeatable method. Whether you're persuading in a meeting, selling an idea, asking for support, or simply trying to influence a friend or colleague, this blueprint works. Let's dive in. Step 1. Prepare with clarity before you speak. Get clear on your outcome. Persuasion without clarity is like sailing without a compass. You must know, what do I want the other person to do, feel, or believe? Why would this benefit them, not just me? What potential objections might they have? What emotional triggers apply to this situation? Clarity transforms nervous energy into confidence. It allows you to be intentional, not reactive. Think of it like preparing a stage before the spotlight comes on. You're not scripting every word, but you're organizing your approach so the message lands with purpose. Step 2. Establish instant trust. The first 10 seconds. As we covered earlier, first impressions create emotional framing. They define whether the listener will lean in or mentally check out. Your opening must project calm presence, genuine warmth, quiet confidence, a focus on them, not you. Instead of launching straight into your pitch, begin with connection. Try, I appreciate you taking the time. Let's talk about something that matters to both of us. Before we dive in, I want to understand your thoughts on this. These phrases establish a tone of mutual respect and collaboration, which is the ideal emotional space for influence to take place. Step 3. Ask. Don't assume. Persuasion starts with listening, not speaking. Before making your point, take the time to understand the person in front of you, their needs, their pain points, their goals. Use open-ended questions to gather insight. What's been the biggest challenge for you in this area? What would an ideal outcome look like for you? What's holding you back right now? This step builds empathy. It shows you're not pushing an agenda, you're solving a real problem. And it creates emotional safety, which is the foundation of agreement. People resist what they don't feel included in. But when you involve them, they become more open, more engaged, and more ready to say yes. Step 4. Align your message with their desires. Now that you know what matters to them, connect your message to their internal motivation. Use emotional triggers we discussed earlier. Belonging, certainty, achievement, freedom, significance, connection, curiosity. Just explain your point. Tie it directly to their goals. Example. Instead of saying, this approach will help us meet the deadline, say, this approach will help your team hit the deadline without burning out or sacrificing quality. Something I know is important to you. It's subtle, but powerful. You're showing alignment. You're building trust. You're offering value that's customized to their emotional needs, and that's what moves people to act. Step 5. Frame with benefits and possibilities. Once you've aligned your message, frame it positively. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, focus on what's possible. Instead of dwelling on risks, emphasize opportunities. Instead of explaining the process, highlight the outcome. People are moved by hope, not just fear. Try phrases like, imagine how things could look if this worked out. This could save you months of frustration. Here's what. This allows you to do that you couldn't before. You're not just sharing facts. You're painting a picture of a better future, one they can see, feel, and step into. When people can see themselves in the solution, they move toward it with less resistance. Step 6. Remove friction and objections. Even the most persuasive message can be derailed by unspoken doubts. That's why great persuaders address objections before they arise. Common objections include, "It's too expensive." "It's risky." "I'm not sure it'll work for me." "It sounds complicated." "I've tried things like this before." Don't wait for them to voice it. Acknowledge it with empathy and offer a clear path forward. Example, "I know it might sound like a big shift. That's why we've designed a 3-step process that's been tested and refined to make this transition as smooth as possible." This shows confidence, transparency, and careful thought that IT reduces fear. And where fear drops, trust rises. Step 7. Use powerful language with purpose. Language shapes emotion. Now is the time to use emotionally intelligent language that reinforces trust and momentum. Replace "you should" with "you might find it helpful to," "you have to," with "here's a way you could take control," "trust me." With "what others have found useful is," speak with certainty, but without pressure. Let your words feel like a warm invitation, not a cold directive. Finish this step by summarizing key benefits in simple, vivid language. So what this really gives you is clarity, control, and peace of mind. In short, this helps you move faster, with less stress and more support. At the end of the day, this is about one thing: making life simpler. Make the message stick. Step 8. Invite action clearly and confidently. Now comes the moment of truth, the call to action. Most people hesitate here. They're afraid of sounding pushy, but persuasion without a clear next step is like lighting a fire without offering warmth. When you've built trust and aligned emotionally, your offer is not a push. It's a natural progression. So be clear. Be simple. Be warm. Examples. If this feels like a good fit, we can take the next step right now. Would you be open to giving this a try this week? Here's what I suggest we do next. Avoid vague language like "let me know," or "maybe we can circle back." These create uncertainty. Lead gently, but confidently. People follow those who know where they're going. Step 9. Reinforce the decision emotionally. Once someone says yes, or even expresses interest, solidify that moment with positive emotion. Affirm their choice. Say things like, "That's a smart move. You're going to love how this improves things. You're making a great decision. Most people who do this wish they'd done it sooner. I really respect your willingness to take action." This builds positive emotional memory. It makes the yes feel good, and that feeling becomes associated with you. When someone feels good about their decision, they're more likely to stick with it, talk about it, and trust you again. In the future, the blueprint recap. Let's quickly summarize the full framework. Prepare with clarity. Know what you want and why it matters to them. Establish instant trust. Use warmth, presence, and respect in the first 10 seconds. Ask, don't assume. Let them talk first. Understand their needs and desires. Align your message. Connect your offer to what they truly want. Frame. With benefits, focus on the emotional outcome, not just the logic. Handle objections. Proactively address doubts with empathy and clarity. Use powerful language. Speak confidently and positively. Avoid pressure. Invite action. Guide the next step with clarity and conviction. Reinforce emotionally. Make their yes feel meaningful and smart. This is your persuasion blueprint. Use it in conversations, presentations, pitches, or any situation where influence matters. Remember, persuasion isn't about forcing a decision. It's about guiding someone to discover what's right for them. With your help, you are not pushing them. You're walking with them. That's the true art of influence. In the next chapter, we'll see how to apply this blueprint in real-world moments, so you can begin turning everyday conversations into opportunities to connect, guide, and inspire. Let's continue. Chapter 7. Instant persuasion in real-life everyday scenarios. That win people over theory means little without application. You've now learned the psychology, the emotional triggers, and the blueprint. But how does instant persuasion look in the real world? How do you influence someone? Not over hours or days, but in those critical first few moments where minds are made and decisions are shaped. This chapter will guide you through real-life scenarios, moments we all experience, where persuasive communication makes all the difference. You'll see how to use the techniques in daily conversations, professional settings, and even high-stakes encounters. Let's bring persuasion to life. Scenario 1. The first meeting. Making a magnetic first impression. Whether it's a business meeting, a social gathering, or a chance encounter, The first few seconds matter. Imagine walking into a room and meeting someone important, maybe a potential client, mentor, or even a future partner. Here's how instant persuasion looks. You walk in with calm, relaxed energy. You're not rushing or overeager. You make steady, friendly eye contact and smile, genuinely, without force. You offer a firm but comfortable handshake or greeting. You lead with curiosity instead of a pitch. Example, nice to meet you. I've heard some great things about your work. How's your week going? This establishes warmth, presence, and interest. The key, start with connection, not content. People are far more likely to hear your message once they like how it feels to be around you. Scenario 2. The job interview. Subtle influence under pressure in interviews. Persuasion isn't about impressing. It's about aligning. The interviewer is not just evaluating skills. They're asking, do I trust this person? Will they fit here? Can they deliver without friction? To persuade instantly, mirror their tone. If they're calm and analytical, match it. If they're more energetic, raise your energy. Frame your responses using emotional triggers. Don't just talk about what you did, talk about what it meant to your team or how it solved a problem. Ask a thoughtful question before the interview ends. Example, what's something your team is excited to tackle this year that the right person in this role could contribute to? It shows you're not just trying to get the job, you're already seeing yourself inside it. That subtle shift in language creates powerful alignment. Scenario 3. The sales conversation. Influence without pressure. Let's say you're sharing a product, service, or idea with someone who might be interested, but they're unsure. Here's what ineffective persuasion looks like. Let me tell you why you need this. It's the best on the market. You'll regret missing out. That's pressure, and it creates resistance. Instead, use curiosity and emotion. Try this. Begin with a question. What's been your biggest challenge around problem your product solves? Then empathize. That makes sense. I've seen so many people struggle with that, especially when everything feels overwhelming. And finally, invite. One thing that's been working really well for others in your situation is this. You're not pushing, you're guiding. You're showing that you understand, and then offering a path that makes sense emotionally and logically. That's real influence. Scenario 4. The difficult conversation. Calming tension with trust. We've all been there. A conversation starts to get tense. Emotions rise. Misunderstandings build. Here, persuasion means diffusing defensiveness and creating emotional safety. Let's say someone is frustrated with you, a team member, partner, or friend. Instead of going into defense mode, use this 3-step method. 1. Validate. I can see why that would feel frustrating. 2. Reframe. I think there's been a miscommunication, and I want to clear it up, not escalate it. 3. Invite collaboration. What's the best way for us to move forward from here? Together? You've just disarmed the situation without dismissing it. You've moved from opposition to cooperation. In these moments, persuasion isn't about changing someone's mind. It's about protecting the relationship so the conversation can continue constructively. Scenario 5. The networking opportunity. Standing out authentically. Imagine you're at a conference, event, or dinner party, and you want to make an impression without sounding rehearsed or self-promotional. Here's how to influence naturally. Start by asking, not talking, what brought you here today? What are you working on that's got you excited lately? When they ask about you, answer with a story, not a title. I help companies reduce stress on their teams through clear systems. It's something I became passionate about after burning out early in my career. That's much more memorable than saying, I'm a productivity coach. People don't remember roles. They remember stories and emotions. Authentic self-expression creates a lasting impression. Scenario 6. The leadership moment. Inspiring a team to act. If you're leading a team, whether in business, education, or any group, persuasion is essential. Your ability to move people toward a vision depends on emotional clarity. To influence as a leader, start with why it matters, not just what needs to happen. Speak in terms of shared purpose and collective gain. Use inclusive language. We're building something that matters. This isn't just about results. It's about how we show up for each other. Celebrate progress publicly. Reinforce the emotional reward of moving forward. Leadership persuasion is not about authority. It's about alignment, inspiration, and belief. Scenario 7. The everyday ask. getting a yes without pressure sometimes. Persuasion is as simple as asking for help, support, or collaboration in everyday life. Whether it's asking a favor, negotiating with your partner, or inviting someone to try something new, how you frame the ask makes all the difference. Try this three-part formula. Acknowledge their perspective. I know your schedule is packed right now. Present the benefit of your idea, but I really believe this could help both of us in the long run. Offer a choice. Would you be open to trying it out for just a week and seeing how it goes? This method reduces pressure, honors their autonomy, and opens the door to agreement. And when people feel like they're choosing, not being pushed, they're far more likely to say yes. What makes these moments work? In each of these real-life scenarios, persuasion happens because of one powerful principle. You're not trying to win an argument. You're trying to win a moment of trust. You do this by creating emotional safety, asking instead of assuming, speaking to desire, not pressure, using language that feels personal and human, giving people space to say yes on their own terms. That's what instant persuasion really is. Not a performance, but a process of emotional alignment. Practice makes natural at first. This might feel intentional, even awkward. But like any skill, the more you practice these techniques, the more natural they become. Soon, you'll notice people respond more positively to your suggestions, conversations feel easier and more collaborative, you earn more trust in less time, resistance drops, and influence grows because persuasion isn't just about speaking well. It's about understanding people well. And when you do, your words carry more weight instantly. Coming up next, in the next chapter, we'll go even deeper and explore the hidden mistakes people make when trying to persuade and how to avoid them so you never lose trust or connection. If you've ever wondered why your best ideas sometimes fall flat, or why a yes suddenly turns into a maybe, this next chapter will reveal what's been missing. Let's keep going. Chapter 8. Handling resistance, how to turn no into yes. Every great persuader has heard the word no. It's not a failure. It's a moment of hesitation. A signpost that says, I'm not convinced yet, or I need something more, or simply, I don't feel safe moving forward. Resistance is part of every influential conversation. But the best persuaders don't see it as the end of the road. They see it as the beginning of deeper trust. In this chapter, you'll learn how to handle objections, hesitations, and flat-out rejections without becoming defensive or desperate. You'll discover how to respond in a way that lowers tension, builds respect, and often turns a firm no into an open yes. Let's begin. Understanding resistance. What no really means. Most people assume no is final. But in real-world persuasion, no rarely means never. It often means, not now. I'm unsure. I don't see the value yet. I don't trust this completely. I'm afraid of making a mistake. Here's the key. Behind every no is a need. If you can uncover the need behind the resistance, you can continue the conversation, not by pushing harder, but by listening deeper. Great persuaders don't push. They pivot. Step 1. Stay calm and curious. The moment you hear no or sense resistance, your first instinct might be to defend or explain, but don't. Instead, pause, breathe, and shift into curiosity. Respond with calm, genuine interest. That makes sense. Can I ask what's holding you back right now? Thanks for your honesty. I'd love to understand what feels off to you. Totally fair. What would need to be different for this to feel like a yes? These questions lower defenses. They turn no into a dialogue, not a debate. Remember, curiosity is disarming. When you're curious, you're not attacking, you're exploring, and people respond to that openness. Step 2. Listen without interrupting. Most people hear objections and immediately start planning their response. Don't. Just listen. Let the other person fully explain what they're thinking and feeling. Let them talk without jumping in. Because here's the truth. Sometimes, just being heard is all someone needs to start softening their stance. When they finish, summarize their concern to show you truly understand. So if I heard you right, you're saying you're not sure this will save you time in the long run? Sounds like your concern is mostly around budget and timing. Did I get that? This step builds massive trust. It shows you're not trying to win, you're trying to understand. And when people feel understood, they open up. Step 3. Validate their concern. After you listen, The next step is validation. This doesn't mean you agree. It means you acknowledge their experience as valid. Examples. I completely get why you'd feel that way. That's a smart question to ask. A lot of people wonder the same thing. If I were in your shoes, I might hesitate too. Validation lowers emotional tension. It proves you're not dismissing their fear. You're respecting it, and respect earns attention. Once you've validated their concern, only then do you move into reframing. Step 4. Reframe the objection now. It's time to gently shift their perspective, not by arguing, but by offering a new frame. Here are a few powerful reframing techniques. 1. Reframe uncertainty as opportunity. Objection. I'm not sure this will work for me. Reframe. That's exactly why we keep it flexible, so you can try it in your way and adjust as needed. 2. Reframe cost as investment. Objection. It's too expensive. Reframe. I understand. But let me ask, if this helped you save hours every month and reduce stress, would it be worth it long term? 3. Reframe fear as growth. Objection. I'm afraid of making the wrong choice. Reframe. Totally fair. But what if this choice actually became the one that moved things forward for you? Reframing doesn't deny their concerns. It gently shifts the emotional lens so they can see a new possibility. Step 5. Rebuild value based on their needs. Once you've reframed, rebuild the value of your message by connecting it to what they told you matters most. For example, earlier you mentioned wanting more time with your family. What we're talking about here is a tool to help make that possible. You said you're looking for clarity in your decisions. This process is built for that exact reason, to remove the guesswork. You're not selling. You're aligning. You're saying, I heard you. I understand you. And I've thought about what matters to you. This is the moment where minds begin to change, because it's no longer about you. It's about them. Step 6. Ask permission to continue now that you've addressed their concerns. Don't assume. Ask, would you be open to taking a closer look with this new perspective? Does this change how you're feeling about the next step? Can I share one idea that might ease your concern even more? Asking permission keeps the power in their hands, and that builds even more trust that if they say yes, they're now emotionally invested in the conversation. That's when influence becomes effortless. Step 7. Accept a final no gracefully. Not every no will become a yes. And that's okay. But how you handle a final no determines whether that door closes permanently or stays slightly open. That if someone says they're not ready, respond with dignity. Totally respect that. Thank you for being honest with me. I appreciate the conversation either way. And if the timing ever feels right, I'd love to reconnect. I get it. Let's stay in touch, just in case things change. This earns you credibility, and more often than you'd expect. People do come back later because they remember how you made them feel. Respected, not pressured. What resistance really teaches us: every no teaches you something about people. What they fear, what they value, what they believe, what they need more of. Handling resistance is not about overpowering someone. It's about meeting them where they are and walking with them toward clarity. Sometimes they change. Sometimes you learn. Often, both happen at once. That's the true power of ethical persuasion. Turn resistance into respect. Let's recap the steps. Stay calm and curious. Don't react. Explore. Listen fully. Give space without interruption. Validate their concern. Acknowledge their feelings. Reframe the objection. Offer a new emotional lens. Rebuild value. Connect your solution to their desires. Ask permission to continue. Keep it collaborative. Accept no gracefully. Leave the door open with respect. This is how you turn no into maybe, and maybe into a genuine yes. The more comfortable you become with resistance, the more powerful your influence becomes, because you're not chasing agreement, that you're building understanding. Coming up next, in the next chapter, we'll reveal the 7 deadly mistakes of persuasion, the subtle but damaging habits that push people away and destroy trust, even when your message is strong. Avoiding these pitfalls will sharpen your skills and ensure your influence only grows stronger with time. Let's continue. Chapter 9. Ethical influence. Persuade without manipulation. Influence is a powerful tool. It can open doors, build bridges, and create lasting change. But it also carries responsibility, because influence, when used carelessly or selfishly, can slip into manipulation. And manipulation destroys trust, harms relationships, and ultimately backfires on the influencer. If you want to become a truly effective persuader, one whose influence stands the test of time, you must master the art of ethical influence. This chapter will explore what ethical influence means, how it differs from manipulation, and practical steps to persuade while honoring respect, transparency, and autonomy. The difference between influence and manipulation at first glance. Influence and manipulation may seem similar. They both aim to change behavior or attitudes. But the intention and methods behind them are what truly separate the two. Influence is built on mutual benefit, respect, and honesty. It seeks to help others make informed decisions that align with their true needs and values. It honors their freedom to choose. Manipulation uses deception, coercion, or withholding information. It aims to get someone to act in the influencer's favor, often at the expense of the other person's well-being or best interest. It undermines autonomy and trust. Influence uplifts. Manipulation exploits. As you grow your skills, always ask yourself, am I serving this person's highest good? Am I being honest about the benefits and limitations? Am I respecting their right to say no? If the answer is yes, you're on the path of ethical influence. Why ethical influence matters, you might be tempted to think. If manipulation works, why not use it? Here are 4 reasons why ethical influence is not just right, but smart. 1. Trust is irreplaceable. Trust takes time to build, but seconds to lose. Manipulation chips away at trust silently, until one day, it's gone. Ethical influence builds trust that lasts and grows. Point 2. Long-term relationships outperform short-term wins. Manipulation might yield quick results, but it alienates people over time. Ethical persuasion fosters loyalty, repeat collaboration, and referrals. That's where sustainable success lives. Point 3. Self-respect and reputation matter. How you influence others shapes how you see yourself and how others see you. Integrity breeds confidence and authenticity. Manipulation leads to guilt and isolation. Point 4. The world needs more ethical leaders in every field, from business to politics to everyday life. Ethical influence raises standards. It creates environments where people feel safe, valued, and empowered. Core principles of ethical influence. Let's outline the core principles that guide ethical persuasion. 1. Transparency. Be clear about your intentions. Don't hide information or present facts selectively to mislead. Share benefits and limitations honestly. Example: I want to share an opportunity that I believe could help you, but it requires a commitment of time and effort. 2. Respect for autonomy. People have the right to make their own choices. Your role is to inform, inspire, and guide, not to pressure or coerce. Offer options and allow space for questions and doubts. Point 3. Empathy and understanding. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Understand their fears, hopes, and needs deeply. Speak to their reality, not just your agenda. Point 4. Mutual benefit. Ensure what you're offering genuinely benefits the other person. Persuasion should create a win-win situation where both parties gain. Point 5. Accountability. Be willing to take responsibility for the outcomes of your influence. If someone experiences negative consequences, don't deflect or blame. Practical ways to influence ethically. 1. Use facts alongside emotion. While emotional triggers move decisions, back them with truth. Provide accurate information, credible evidence, and real examples. This balance builds confidence and reduces regret. Point 2. Avoid high-pressure tactics. Phrases like "act now" or "lose out forever" may spark urgency, but can feel coercive. Instead, create genuine urgency with transparency about deadlines or scarcity. Always allow for thoughtful consideration. Point 3. Invite questions and concerns. Encourage openness. Say things like, "What questions do you have?" or "I want to hear your thoughts honestly." This invites dialogue and shows respect. Point 4. Honor boundaries. If someone says no or hesitates, accept it gracefully. Don't keep pushing or guilt-tripping. Leave the door open for future conversations. Point 5. Be authentic. Speak from your true beliefs and values. People sense authenticity and respond positively. Don't pretend to be someone you're not. Ethical influence in everyday life. You don't need a stage or title to practice ethical influence. It can be as simple as encouraging a friend to pursue a goal you believe in, guiding a colleague through a new process with honesty and patience, leading a family decision with respect for everyone's voice, advocating for change with facts and empathy. When you make ethical influence a habit, your relationships deepen, your credibility grows, and your impact multiplies. When ethical influence feels hard sometimes, the temptation to shortcut with manipulation is strong, especially when stakes are high. Remember, ethical influence may take longer, but it creates lasting results. It strengthens your emotional intelligence and resilience. It helps you sleep at night knowing you did right by others. It makes you a leader people want to follow. The real power of influence lies not in control, but in connection. Final thoughts as you continue mastering persuasion. Keep ethics at your core. Be the person who builds bridges, not walls, inspires trust, not fear, creates possibility, not pressure. Influence isn't just about getting a yes. It's about honoring the humanity behind every decision. When you do that, your influence becomes a force for good, a skill that changes minds and hearts. Chapter 10. Mastering Mind Influence Your Persuasive Future. You journeyed through the foundations of persuasion, understanding psychology, emotional triggers, ethical influence, and practical frameworks. Now, it's time to look forward. Not just at what persuasion is today, but what it will be in your hands tomorrow. Mastering mind influence is more than learning techniques. It's about becoming a person who naturally inspires, connects, and moves others with ease and integrity. This chapter is your gateway to that future. The evolution of influence, from technique to mindset. Influence has often been treated as a set of tools, words to say, tactics to use, tricks to apply. But the most effective influencers know it's far deeper than that. It's a mindset, a way of being in the world. This mindset blends emotional intelligence, self-awareness, ethical commitment, adaptability, continuous learning. When you embody these qualities, influence flows naturally from your presence, your intentions, and your authentic connection with others. Your future persuasive power is less about scripts and more about who you are. Cultivating self-mastery. The foundation of influence. Your ability to influence others begins with how well you manage yourself. Why? Because people resonate with energy and authenticity. When you're calm, confident, and clear, you create a magnetic field that draws others in. Cultivate self-mastery. Practice mindfulness. Regularly check in with your thoughts and emotions to stay centered. Manage your biases. Be aware of personal blind spots that might color your judgments. Develop emotional regulation. Learn to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Set clear values. Know what you stand for and let that guide your influence. That self-mastery builds trust from the inside out. The power of listening deeply in a world full of noise. Those who listen deeply stand out. Deep listening means fully focusing on the speaker without preparing your response in advance. Not just hearing words, but sensing emotions and underlying needs. Asking open-ended questions that invite richer dialogue. Reflecting back, understanding to confirm clarity. When you listen deeply, people feel truly seen and heard. This connection is the strongest lever of influence. Empathy as a persuasive superpower. Empathy is more than kindness. It's a strategic tool for influence. It allows you to step inside another person's experience and communicate in a way that resonates emotionally and intellectually. Develop empathy. Suspend judgment. Seek to understand before being understood. Imagine their perspective, struggles, and hopes. Respond with compassion, even in disagreement. Empathy doesn't weaken your position. It strengthens it by creating rapport and goodwill. Adaptability. Influence in a changing world. The world, technology, and human behavior are constantly evolving. Mastering influence requires adaptability. Be willing to adjust your approach based on feedback and new information. Stay curious about people's changing values and cultural shifts. Embrace continuous learning about psychology, communication, and social trends. Flexibility keeps your influence relevant and effective. Ethical leadership and influence. As your influence grows, so does your responsibility. Mastery means leading with integrity. Use your influence to uplift others. Resist temptation to manipulate or deceive. Promote transparency and respect autonomy. Model the behavior you wish to see in others. Ethical leadership transforms influence into a force for positive change. Harnessing technology and AI and persuasion. The future of influence also intersects with technology. AI tools, data analytics, and digital platforms offer new ways to understand and engage audiences. As a master influencer, leverage technology to gain insights into preferences and behaviors. Use AI ethically to personalize communication. Be mindful of digital boundaries and privacy. Blend human intuition with technological precision. Technology can amplify your reach, but human connection remains irreplaceable. Your persuasive future. A vision. Imagine a future where your words inspire change effortlessly. People seek your guidance because they trust your integrity. You create environments where collaboration and innovation thrive. Your influence opens doors to opportunities you once only dreamed of. This is the future you're building now. Every conversation, every choice, every moment of practice shapes it. Next steps. Becoming a master influencer. To move toward mastery, practice daily. Influence is a muscle. Use it often and thoughtfully. Reflect regularly. After interactions, consider what worked and what didn't. Seek feedback. Invite honest input from trusted peers. Invest in growth. Read widely, attend workshops, and stay curious. Live your values. Let integrity guide your every interaction. Mastering mind influence is a lifelong journey, but one rich with rewards. Closing thoughts. Influence is not about control. It's about connection. It's not about winning. It's about serving. It's not about persuasion tricks. It's about authentic relationships. As you step into your persuasive future, remember, your greatest power lies in your genuine desire to understand, help, and uplift. When you master that, the world naturally follows your lead. Conclusion. The journey of influence. Your power to change minds and hearts. As we reach the end of this journey, take a moment to reflect on what you've discovered. Persuasion is far more than clever words or clever tactics. It is a profound human art, one that blends psychology, empathy, ethics, and authenticity. It is about connecting deeply with others, understanding their world, and guiding them toward decisions that serve their highest good as well as yours. The heart of persuasion is connection at its core. Persuasion is relationship. It is trust built in seconds and nurtured over time. It is respect given and received. It is the delicate dance between speaking and listening, influencing and honoring. You have learned how to capture trust, instantly speak the language of influence, tap into emotional triggers, handle resistance with grace, persuade ethically, and powerfully master your mindset for lasting impact. Each of these is a key to unlocking your persuasive potential. Your influence is a gift and a responsibility. With influence comes responsibility. The responsibility to use your skills with integrity, honesty, and care. Remember, manipulation may get a momentary yes, but it costs you trust and respect. Ethical influence wins hearts, builds relationships, and creates lasting change. Choose your path wisely. Influence is a skill you build every day. Like any great skill, influence grows with practice, reflection, and intention. Every conversation you have, whether with a stranger, a colleague, or a loved one, is an opportunity to practice what you've learned. Approach these moments with patience, curiosity, respect. A genuine desire to serve. Your influence will deepen naturally. A future of possibility. The world is full of complex challenges and incredible opportunities. Your ability to persuade with authenticity and empathy is not just a personal advantage, it is a force for good. Imagine what you can accomplish when your words inspire, your presence uplifts, and your influence empowers. You can create change. You can build bridges. You can open doors for yourself and others. Final invitation. As you close this audiobook, I invite you to make a promise to use your persuasive power wisely, to listen more than you speak, to influence with heart as much as mind, to grow continually, and to lead by example. Your journey as a master persuader is just beginning. Step forward with confidence, compassion, and clarity. The world is ready to listen. Thank you for trusting me to guide you. Here's to your persuasive future.